What is up, everyone? We are continuing our Arctic Monkeys streak. It seems like a lot of people like it, and you know what? We like it too, but we can't do it without Dixon. How the heck are you?
Ice back in action again. Even though it's another episode, we're back on track. It seems like it's been too long. I'm glad to hear your voice.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear you too. It's been too long for me. You know what, Dixon? If I could hear you every single day, it wouldn't be enough.
I know that's absolutely right, and that's exactly how I'm sure our subscribers feel. As we've heard them say they want daily episodes.
Yes, we actually have. So, guys, you know, I'm doing a call to action right now. Guys, subscribe, please. I know you're watching these Arctic Monkeys videos. Give us some subscribers. We won't let you down. I promise you that.
You're absolutely right. It's 2025, and as we said previously, I think we said this last week. This is possibly the best time to subscribe. No, there's been no other time that's been worthy to subscribe other than now.
That's it. Well, except Dixon, your Bob Dylan breakdown. We have a 4-part series. Go check that out. We'll do a card right here. That was the first time. This is the second time. Other than that, it's all nonsense, I guess.
Oh man, such is life. Yeah, no, it's what it is, you know. But we are sticking with the Arctic Monkeys.
Oh yeah,
and we've been getting some pretty a decent amount of views on our first 2 videos because in reality we're familiar with their music, but they're relatively new to us as far as a whole picture perspective, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's I think we probably described this in our first video that we covered on this. This is our 3rd one now, but in the first one we were doing an intro, we talked about how we've heard the hits, we know of them,
right? But
we haven't dove into their collection,
right? Yeah. Right. No, for sure. So we're heading towards, and I guess what you could say is we're kind of looking at the highlights, and maybe that's a bad term to use, but like the heavy hitters in their catalog, you know. So we listened to their debut album, which we loved. We said that, and you could listen to that video. And then we're getting into AM, which is probably about the time that I had, and probably you too, had rediscovered the Arctic Monkeys after their debut albums. We're going from 2007 to 2013. And it was hard for me to really kind of comprehend AM because I was so deep into the Nationals album, Trouble Will Find Me, which you loved at the same time. Oh
yeah, that was one of my favorites.
But I think if I listened to this album at the same time, it kind of would have balanced me out. Like I kind of would have had a good sliding scale going. But so AM, yes, released in 2013. Interesting factoid: it was recorded at a studio in Joshua Tree, California.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Joshua Tree.
No.
It won't stop following us. Any first-time listeners, just watch our YouTube review, and you'll get what we're talking about. We're not big fans of Joshua Tree. That's all we can say.
That's all we can say is right. That's all we can say. And so it's one of their more successful albums. Topped the UK chart in its first week. So the single "Do I Want to Know" became the first song by the Arctic Monkeys to enter the Billboard Hot 100, with the album topping 4 Billboard charts and being certified 4 times platinum in the US by the RIAA in 2023. They describe it as groovy, and it's was ranked on the what number was it? 500 greatest albums of all time by Rolling Stone, and 2020, and then one of the greatest of the 2010s by NME.
Wow.
So definitely some critical acclaim there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, I feel like this is when I was definitely introduced to Arctic Monkeys, because in 2013, I feel like you heard them. They were certainly on the radio. "Do I Want to Know" was definitely on there. I think later they might have been featured in some commercials. I can't remember exactly which ones, but their songs were definitely, it was out there. It was in popular culture. So
out there.
At least over here in the Americas, we were just getting a taste of who they were.
No, for sure. Absolutely. And that's so I think I told the story, but it was but like I said, that rediscovery period, because a girl I was dating at the time made me a mix of Arctic Monkeys songs, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I really didn't pay much attention to it. And now I look back, we have 2 full albums under our belt of the Arctic Monkeys, and I'm thinking, I wonder why I thought that, because I really love this album, and I didn't realize how many songs I knew on it until I actually sat down and listened to it.
Yeah, and I enjoyed this album too, but I have that with an asterisk there.
Okay, all right, interesting. Okay,
okay, I'll get it out of the way right out of the bat. I will say, listening to their first album and then listening to this, I will say that they have it down that they could have a theme on an album, because if you listen to whatever people say, that's what I'm not. I definitely said that wrong, but anyway, listen to their first album.
I know you mean
that is like, it's like garage punky. We said it has a gritty tone to it, and that album, they sound completely different. They're like almost like a completely different genre than what AM is. Now, the problem with that, at least for me, is that I listed 3 songs here. Do I Want to Know? Why Do You Only Call Me When You're High? And Are You Mine? I feel like those all sound almost exactly the same. Like, I feel like they're almost different verses within the same song, if that makes any sense. Like, they're all in the same key. I might not be right about that, but just listening to them through the album, I'm like, wait, didn't I just hear this? Because I was listening to it throughout the day, and then I really sat down and listened to it again. But as it's on in the background, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it looped back, and I look at it, I'm like, oh wait, no, this is Why Do You Only Call Me When You're High. But it's almost the melody of it is the same. And not saying that that's a bad thing, but it has that, that critique that people say, oh, they sound exactly the same. All their songs sound the same. I could see someone making that criticism listening to this. Now, with that being said, comparing to their first album, this is way more professional. I know we talked about how their first album was very bare bones, which is good. That's fine. It's designed to be that way. This sounds like a professional touring band that you hear on the radio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, it does, for sure. And I think you make a good point. I think that the production, is definitely more mature.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Right. And right, wrong, or indifferent. We said we liked how it was. So I think it's fair to say, I guess maybe the context of both of these 2 albums that we've talked about has worked well, because the vibes are palpable. you can feel the vibe they're going for, right? You get that idea.
Absolutely.
What? And I know exactly what you're saying. That it does seem like it's the same deal. And then, and I get that, and I get what you're saying as far as they sound the same. And I think to even further your point, what's so confusing is that you have these like spurts of songs that are completely in the opposite direction, so far away from those like 3 like singles, those 3 core songs, right?
Right.
Which is very odd. But in reality, like you said too, you really nailed this on the head. The theme is the same. It's the same thing. It's the same context. It's the same stuff. And what's interesting is I thought is, once again, Alex Turner wrote all the lyrics with the exception of I think 2 of these songs. And really kind of a prolific kind of guy in reality. I mean, for what, 7 albums worth of songs, and he's writing all of them. That's pretty cool.
I know. And we always praise that. I feel like on this show, we definitely always love to see when artists actually write their songs, because I feel like you're more into it. And I get it that some artists, they come in and, they have a team of writers, and it's not necessarily that they're sitting there and saying, hey, yo, Dixon, hey, give me some lyrics. Like we got to make an album. Give us some lyrics. Now, I'm sure some of them do. Some of them absolutely do that, and they, they buy their songs off of people. They have songwriters that make a profession out of that. Hardy's an example for like the country stars, but looking at this, there's really something to be said for someone that could do that. And I'm curious to listen to other albums to see if he hits that theme in all of his albums, because there's something to be said for that. I think that's impressive.
Yeah, no, it is impressive for sure. And so sticking with the concept of Alex Turner, right? Mm-hmm. We touched on this in our first video. There's definitely, now maybe not to where he is today or in 2023 when they really last played live. You could tell his voice has gotten deeper. He still has the Sheffield High Green accent, but it's definitely not as pronounced as it was on the first album. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely noticed that.
Mm-hmm. So once again, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think that is a artistic choice, or do you think it's just him maturing as a singer? He's trying to find his his range, because I think on this album he really hits like some of his vocal styling and skill. Like I think number one Party Anthem, I really like that song because I feel like his vocals he's great on that.
Yes, no, for sure. And that's a really good question. Artistic versus biological, I guess. I don't know. That's a good question. Because at this point in his career, Alex Turner has this kind of like, he has this Elvis kind of slicked back hair. He's dressing very much in the 50s. He has this whole different vibe. The vibe that he's putting out has evolved at this point. So is that an artistic choice? That is a good question, because I think it might have been Bob Dylan, or maybe, I think it was Bob Dylan who blamed, maybe it was somebody else, I don't know, but he blamed smoking on his voice changing.
Right.
So like, it's like, but you go from Bob Dylan, kind of this high pitch, kind of probably how he sounds in reality in the 60s. And then you get to Nashville Skyline, where he sounds like Kermit the Frog. Smoking, I don't think could do that in reality. Like,
I don't think so.
Maybe more gravelly. You know what I mean? We all know that how smokers sound.
Oh yes, but, we know.
But, I mean, it's got to be just like, based on the music that we've listened to, it seems like the Arctic Monkeys, and in particular Alex Turner, are evolving in one way or the other, and maybe that's just one of his evolutionary things. Now, from what I understand, Alex Turner loves America, loves LA, loves New York. Could it be that he's trying to be more Americanized? Is he trying to play more American rock and almost like American soul in reality too?
Yeah.
Some of how these songs sound. Could that be a reality? This is probably going to get a lot of hate, I feel like, because, how dare I say this? But maybe there's like a connection there.
I mean, there might be. Do you think that people from the UK would take that as an offense? I don't know.
Really, really, really good question. I don't know. Have you ever been to England?
I have not. I'd love to visit though.
I would too. I've never been myself. I'd like to go. I'd like to see a flat in London.
I'd love to see a nice flat.
I'd love to see a nice flat in London. But like I said, maybe there's something. I mean, I guess the idea of, so I don't know, maybe this is gonna sound bad too. Maybe this is oversimplifying British music, but I know the penultimate, the British band, the Beatles, right?
Right.
I know that the Rolling Stones, right? So all I know is that they were influenced by Elvis and Chuck Berry and American blues artists, and they're from England, right? So if you're growing up being influenced by the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, by default, you're going to be influenced by American rock and roll and American blues and all those kind of things, American roots in reality.
Yes.
So perhaps that goes kind of hand in hand with the territory. I don't know. I'm aware of some of the music that British people make, but I mean, if you're looking towards what we're doing over here in America from a musical standpoint, it's gotta affect your evolution, or maybe what you want to do, or what you've been influenced by at the very least.
And I totally agree with that. Now, I would say if you had to pick between their first album and this one, I think this is more Americanized, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. This is that to me was just straight up British punk. That was like post Sex Pistols.
Yes,
that kind of thing. This is I could see this being, because I really like this album, but I could see this being like an acquired taste for the reasons that we said. But I feel like this album is more complete. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like it's a little like deeper.
I totally agree. It's like you said, you hit a nail on the head. It's more mature. It's definitely a more mature. I feel like we're getting more deep kind of themes with the lyrics, even the music itself. That grittiness is gone. It's like complete. It's not even there. And that's why I said, you listen to the first album, you listen to AM, it's almost like a different band. And and I like the fact that a lot of fans of Arctic Monkeys love this album, because I guess it shows that they could, to an extent, go and say, oh, you know what, we're with this band, we like them, we like the evolution, this is a great album, we appreciate it, even from where they came from. This new sound is great.
Yes, it's a thing. No, for sure. I think so too. And we'll see how this goes, because we're going to listen to their latest release from 2022 for next episode.
Yes.
So maybe this is going to be, and like I said, maybe we're doing it, but I don't think we are, but I wanted to listen to the albums that people talk about, maybe this is, maybe it's an easy way out, but just want to hit some of those keystones, those milestones in their career, and you could see it. And after 5 albums, you could see they have a totally, in reality, maybe not totally different, like a different direction, a different sound. Alex Turner's different, and the whole thing is different. But in reality, they're still the same Arctic Monkeys, what I think is pretty cool too.
Right. No, I really like that, and I think it'd be interesting to listen to their latest album and then just pick like one at random, one that's like kind of in the middle, maybe more towards the beginning. I'd like to see if there's something different there. Maybe even, you know what? I think it might be interesting to see one of their least well-received albums.
Yes.
Between their first and their last one. Because they're least well-received. I know it's not AM. I know it's not that, but it would be interesting to see something like that. Now, Dixon, do you have a favorite song off of this album?
I do. And I'm gonna be a sellout. I am.
Let's hear it.
I think overall, the song "Do I Want to Know" is just one of those moments in music that it's just so spot on. It's just so good, and it's cliche, it's mainstream, whatever. I will say this: putting it as the first song of the album is kind of annoying. I don't know. It's kind of like, okay, where am I going from here? I'm already here. I've gotten to where I should be, right?
Right. I get what you're saying. You're being your load, I guess we'll say. I'll censor myself right at the beginning.
I was literally thinking that. Well, that's messed up.
I know. We really are messed up.
I was literally thinking that exact same phrase. Because it's true. They start on this front end. You're like, oh my gosh, how could it get better than this?
I know. and then it's like, maybe it can't. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it can. Maybe it can. I don't know. So I think they do tie it together. To start with, "Do I Want to Know," and then to end with "I Want to Be Yours," kind of is like a 2 bookends, right?
Yeah,
I do like "Are You Mine?" I do like "Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High?" I do like those songs, but to me, the riff, the lyrics, the production, the mysteriosity of "Do I Want to Know" is great. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a really, really good song, regardless of who sings it or what it is. Because I remember hearing that like I said, on a commercial, and I'm like, "Oh, who is this?"
Right.
And then it's like, "Oh, the Arctic Monkeys." There's no way, and sure enough, it is. I think it's a really good song. I think it's my favorite just because of that. Because it could stand alone. It's such a good song by itself.
I totally agree with you. I think that is a fantastic song. The production value, like you said, it's on point. That's when you hear that, when you go from, like I said, the first album, and then you go to this, it's like, wow. It's like they have arrived. Here we are.
Yes, correct.
And yeah, it definitely hits it. And like you said, I would say that's probably the best song on the album. The other one that I like is Arabella. Now, I think I like it because it's kind of different from the rest of it. It's kind of a little more punk, and I really like that little riff that they have in there. And I think the Arctic Monkeys do this well, that they can make a simple little. I mean, it plays just a little bit, and then it's just like, wow, this is so good, and just a little riff right there, and it's like, wow, they make this sound awesome, and it kind of harkens back to their punk style, and I don't know, I really like that. I also like Mad Sounds, and it reminds me of another artist. I couldn't think of who it was, but I just like the line that he says, "Then someone hits you with a ooh la la." And it goes into the car. I just love that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. No, that is pretty good. And that's I think those are good songs too. You make a good point about that. Their little riffs is that it almost kind of becomes like the centerpiece. Right. But the thing is, like you said, with the little riffs, it's like, well, where is that? I want that again. I guess that's like the idea of like starting out with, "Do I want to know?" I know. I want to hear this. And maybe that's the allure. Maybe that's one of their artistic licensures that they take, is that, oh, we're just kind of going to tease you for just a minute before you be your S.
Yeah. You're right. And you know what? It would not surprise me if that is done purposely. I feel like there's a lot of art behind what these guys do, the writing, and it would not surprise me if there's something going on more behind the scenes of, hey, listen, the best song that we got here is this is up front, this is what it is, and you're going to listen to the rest of the album, and you're going to want more, and that's what it is.
That's the idea, and there you go, man. That's where some of these more of these diehard fans come in. Is that
Right.
it's like, okay, I want to hear this. I want to hear more of this. Man, that's where that drive comes from. Interesting.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I don't know, Dixon. Should we do a rate? Dare we do a rating?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, so, and here's some behind the scenes notes. Last week we talked about BTS, and we said it was really nice to have something positive to discuss for a change. 'Cause I feel like we've been negative for like the last couple weeks, right? Would you agree?
Oh yeah, we've been on a downward spiral. We've been really tearing it up. We threw a lot of digs out, which is
digs.
Yeah, which is fine every now and then. But it is nice to get back to something positive for once in our lives.
Once in our lives, yeah, for sure. So considering AM. So considering all the things, and I'm considering the context of what it is, and I'm not going to compare it to. I'm going to try my best not to compare it to their first album. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I'm going to try my best not to do that. So the context of it is of where we are. What I mentioned before, the bookends, the evolution of the sound, Alex Turner's evolution as a songwriter, and as a singer, as a performer, I think are all spot on. Mm-hmm. You made some really good points, and I really didn't think about that until you kind of brought it up. Is that you have these similar tracks, and then you have tracks that are just completely like in the opposite spectrum, and they do a good job of context, but it's almost like they're missing some of the context on some of these songs. I think in reality, this album, considering everything, I think you got to go probably 8.5.
Okay.
Out of 10. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to do the exact same. I was 8.5 was in my mind. That's what I was going to say. And pretty much for the same points that you have. And the only reason I didn't go higher is it's just for me. I feel like I really like the idea that the album has a cohesive tone to it, a cohesive kind of message. But I feel like, again, those songs that I mentioned, they sound too similar to me. Now, that's just me being subjective there, but I feel like when you look at it, the impact that it had, their rise to fame because of this album, and how well it's put together, and how much more mature it is from when they first debuted, I feel like it has to be an 8.5.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a good summary of the whole deal for sure. Mm-hmm. I like it.
So I guess our next video is going to be on what's the Car? Is that their latest album?
The Car is the latest from 2022.
Okay, now
yes,
and I don't know if this is correct or not, but
okay,
I feel like I was reading on Reddit or somewhere insufferable like that
yeah, right.
The Car is not as well received as their past albums. I could be wrong on that. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty eager to listen to it.
Okay. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to hear it too. The last tour the Arctic Monkeys went on in 2023 was kind of like a greatest hits show, and also in support of the Car, and they did very well. It's interesting to see. I don't know if there's been any intel on this or not. Maybe we'll talk about this in the next video. Is where are the Arctic Monkeys and where are they headed? Because they haven't been on the tour. They haven't been on the road since 2023. This is the last album they had was 2022. I wonder what is evolving or happening, or if they're just kind of just doing their thing for the moment, because they were prolific for a lot of years there. For sure.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely.
So we'll answer that question in the next one for sure, because it'll be interesting to see where the Arctic Monkeys are or where they are headed.
Now, and I don't want to poison the well, but this is what got me onto it, because when we were first researching the Arctic Monkeys, when we did our first video, this post came up. If you search Arctic Monkeys the Car, this Reddit post comes up, and it says, "The Car is exactly what I didn't want from the Arctic Monkeys." But then you go into the thread, and people say, "Oh, actually, this album's phenomenal. Listen to it from start to finish. Don't lose yourself in it. Blah blah blah. All this stuff." So like, I feel like there's a lot of debate over this, at least from this thread. So we'll see what happens. We're coming into it with an open mind, as we always do, though.
Always, and you have to be open, especially in this business.
Oh,
and wouldn't it nice for you to open and be open and being open and hitting that subscribe button, right, Ice?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's really the least you could do for us. I'm just kidding. But it would be nice if you hit the subscribe button, because we're on our road to, well first we got to hit 400. Then we're going to take the exit to 1,000. And that's a long road there.
Yeah, because we did gain a subscriber from one of our Arctic Monkeys videos. So identify yourself.
Identify yourself. Come out now.
Yeah, tell us who you are in this video, and then because then we're slowly but steadily approaching 400. And once we approach 400, I mean 400 is the new 1,000. So we're on that road as well. So
yeah, who's counting? It doesn't. Hey, you know what? We're always successful in my eyes, and you know what? The views are picking back up. We're out of the winter slum, so
yes,
we're getting back into it. People are going back to YouTube, which is always weird to me that people go in the warmer months.
Yeah.
But who am I to say anything?
It is very strange. What is that? Is it people are sunbathing by the pool? They need something to listen to and play. What is that?
I never understood it. I mean, it's a well-known thing that between Christmas and the end of February, everyone's views go down, and I'm not entirely sure what that's about, which is weird because everyone always complains, it's the winter, we're stuck inside, blah, blah, blah. Well, what the heck are these people doing? And then it gets warm, and suddenly when people are supposed to be going out and going outside now, let's fire up YouTube for 18 hours a day. I never understood it. Yeah.
Thing. Is it because the kids are out of school? Is that what it is?
You know what? I never thought about that. That could be it.
No, because some of these are these are adult themes. Some of these channels, it can't always be just kids keeping YouTube alive. Is it kids?
You know what, Dixon? We should check our demographics. We should check those stats. I'd be very curious to see.
I've looked at them one time before. It's males that are in their 30s and 40s, and mostly in America.
Okay, that makes sense.
I feel like you shared this to me. Somehow I had access to this data the one time, and that was our demographic. Our demographic is basically guys like us.
Okay, well that's cool. They sound pretty cool.
Yeah, I know they sound definitely cool guys for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think I might have it right here.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Don't listen to me. Sorry.
All right, bummer. Next time.
Yeah, next time. We don't have age here, but we'll figure it out.
I feel like I saw that. Did I just make that data up? Is that my dream audience?
I don't. We've definitely found this. We definitely found this data before. We definitely combed over it in one of our earlier episodes, but it's out there somewhere. We've definitely spoken about it.
Yeah, no, I thought so too.
Yeah.
Well,
but
very good.
Well, guys, like Dixon said, subscribe, come on this journey with us, and we promise you will not be disappointed. But until next time, guys, have a good time, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.